V-Rising's new update, Secrets of Gloomrot, has been out for about a week, and one of the things we get asked time and time again is to show off our base. So today, I thought we'd take you through our setup and walk you through how we establish our defenses, build our production line, and of course, store all of our loot. Do it all in style. My name is Codiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and let's dive in to V-Rising. Alright guys, so when it comes to picking a base in V-Rising, you have a lot of options. And with the new territory system, you really have to place down your castle heart and claim an entire plot of land, and you don't have a ton of flexibility in terms of where you can build. The game and the developers have predetermined all of these different plots of land, so where do you start? And to answer that question, Livid is here because when it comes to picking a base location and thinking strategically about the right spot, especially on a PvP server, he has the brain. So Livid, why did we pick this spot in the center of Gloomrot?
So the reason that we pick this spot in the center of Gloomrot is generally when you're looking for a base in PvP, it doesn't really matter how many entrances you have at the bottom of a plateau, but you're kind of looking for two plateaus that merge in one single location in the middle. So you kind of want a single centered choke point. So you can have like 3-4 ways up on the bottom plateau, but if the top plateau only has one, that's like your ideal choke point to just kind of center all your defenses around. So any plot of land that has something like that is the ideal location for you to build a base. That way there's probably close to like 30 or 40 plots on the map alone that all have single ramps up like that. So there's a lot of choices.
And in terms of our base, it's hard to see with the names on the screen, but we have that really central choke point, not the two on the north end, but the one right in the middle of the base. And that's really key to our defense, right? Yeah,
that's essential to our defense.
So let's jump into the game world here. And you can see we are standing outside of the front gate. This is the, I guess you could say the left front gate, and then we have the right front gate over here. But it really doesn't matter which side you go into, right? Because that's part of the design.
Correct. Everybody's going to be funneled over to this side, regardless of what side they go in.
Right. And so one of the things you guys will see in our build design is we have a lot of these, what we're calling airlocks. You'll see like a small, space where players can stand between two gates. And that's really important from a defensive point of view too, right, Livid?
Yeah, because it creates an ability to, if somebody dashes in, it doesn't let them into the critical parts of your base. But you can also use it more in an offensive sense. If you're fighting during a raid, you can kind of bait somebody into an airlock, close the door, and now you have the advantage of a 1v1 if you're, better at PvP. Or if you're not, you can just lock them inside and leave them there, and they're stuck while, the rest of their team is fighting for their lives. Right.
So if we go in, you guys are going to be pretty shocked because the first thing that you guys are going to see is this entire room filled with banshees. This is pro tip. This is, big brain, whatever you want to call it, because there are not a lot of defensive opportunities within the structure of the game, right? There are no buildings that you can build that are like turrets or anything like that. So this is a defensive kind of strategy that we employ in our base, and it is super effective. Livid, can you talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so the advantage of Banshees, right, especially in numbers, is that they have a super far aggro range, and they do an insane amount of damage on their hits. So the benefits of that is if they break through the front gate, you can open these doors and they'll start aggroing to players and chase them way outside. And then what it does is it creates chaos, right? Because they do their fear attacks to make people run. They do a lot of AoEs. They do a lot of invisibility and dash at things. So they're all over the place. So it makes the teams, for one, split up. And two, any golems that are there cannot outrun a Banshee's attack. The Banshees will constantly hammer away at the golems. And I've seen these things bust close to 13, 14 golems just by themselves. And that's without any assistance from players, from other teams, anything. It's literally just these things will break through golems, no problem.
Yeah. And as you can see, like all of these walls over here is called the honeycomb. This is a strategy that was deployed once the game launched into early access. And basically it's just a way to slow down teams and kind of confuse them as to where they need to go. We talked about that choke point. The only way to get up to our base is through the Banshee room. Because as you'll see, all of these doors are just airlocks that are leading to nowhere. Right? Dead ends, more honeycombing, and then that second gate that we mentioned before.
Yeah, the general idea is you want to honeycomb the base so that way all other avenues are more costly than going straight through the areas you want them to go through.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the other team, the only strategy here is to go through the death traps that we've set up. Now, from our perspective as the defending team, we want to be able to jump down here very quickly. We want to be able to defend and engage the enemy, and that's why we have one of our red teleporters. This is something new in the Secrets of Gloomrot. We have a red teleporter up. So if we take that up, you'll notice we're now on the second floor, and this is where the magic happens. And before we get into like the production and all that stuff, let's just show you guys, walk this backwards, back to kind of the Banshee room. And we'll kind of build up from there. Am I going the right way? I'm even confused.
Yes, we'll come over here. We'll come over here.
All right. We're following Livid.
Yeah. So the Banshee room is directly below these stairs right here where we're positioned, right? So this right here gives us the advantage of if they do manage to break through the Banshee room, which most of the time a team doesn't make it past 3 doors. If they do manage to get past, they then have to be funneled up the stairs. And stairs are indestructible structures. So, you can use them very effectively for choke points because you can't break them. You have to go up them to get to the next floor. And the advantage of this here is if you make it so there's a window defending here, you can attack enemies as they're trying to attack your doors.
Yeah,
of course, they'll have ranged attacks and
I can be here.
And of course, they'll have ranged attacks. They could break doors, stuff like that. But the advantage is, doesn't matter when they start to come up, dashing, whatever, even if the doors break, you have the advantage of being able to hit them in the back. And that's something they can't do back to you. So it's a huge choke point thing that we use on every single level for every single set of stairs.
Yep. And as you can see, once they get through that first Banshee room, there is a second Banshee room. A little bit smaller, a little bit more challenging for a Golem to maneuver and something like that. But again, just another layer of defense, and we're not even done yet. So we move into here, and this is our servant room. This is something that's still a work in progress as we're trying to find the right servants. We're not just thinking about PvP, but we're also thinking about sending those servants out using the throne system, getting valuable resources so that we can continue to build up our base. But talk to me, Livid, about kind of the servants that we've chosen to use as defenders. You've got funny names like Annoyance Number 1, Annoyance Number 2, Heal ICBM, Thick Boy. Yeah. What's the thinking here?
So the thinking with these things are, right, is so these light weavers, if anybody's been to Brighthaven, they'll know that these things dash around, they throw AoE attacks, they throw projectiles. They're very annoying to deal with. And when you have them in numbers at high levels, they flip around constantly throwing attacks. It's very hard to avoid them. So that's why there are annoyances. So I generally like to have at least 2, sometimes 3 of those things. Those are very effective. I'm working on getting more clerics. Clerics are super effective in defense because they will seek out either you as players, like the defending team, or the servants themselves that are missing HP, and they'll dash in and do a burst heal as well as AoE damage. And they're very effective in keeping your team healed and your servants healed. So I generally like to employ I usually like 3 of them total. So we only have 1 right now that's high blood, and we want to find 2 more. So we haven't found 2 more that are best yet. Thick Boy, I just grabbed him honestly because he was a pure 100% warrior. And the advantage, if you want to look at his inventory here, Cody, if you hover over him and look at his expertise, it gets up to 39% because he's a hunter blood type. And you'll notice that he gets like a huge max health advantage, huge damage advantage. He'll loot more things just by being high expertise. So the blood type or the blood percentage does matter when you're grabbing servants. So that's why we want high percentages, because they'll just last longer and do more damage when they're in here. And then the last set of servants that I like, these are new with Gloomrot. They're the tractor beamers. We like them specifically because even in choke points, if somebody's running away and they're focused down a hallway, these things will pull them right back up to the servants. So they're super annoying to deal with. Their melee attacks will stun. They're very annoying to deal with. They're very tanky. So as you notice, most things we have in here are tanky. We got the tractor beamers, we got the clerics, we got the paladin. The only ones that aren't tanky are the ones that dash around and they're very hard to hit. That's kind of what you want to go for. You never want to do pyros though, because pyros will kill your teammates. They'll kill your servants. Pyros are a no-go. We thought they'd be nice. Do not use them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, sometimes we raid a base and they let their servants kind of just wander, or they're not there to defend. And we really focus the efforts of our servants into this room. We're going to be there fighting alongside them, utilizing their strengths, but also it provides us another layer of defense right after trying to deal with 2 layers of banshees.
Yeah.
So if they do manage to get through these rooms, they have to go up even more. And one of the things that Livid kind of built into the design here are these kind of splitting pathways. And these splitting pathways not only give us access to these windows that he showed us before for shooting through the sides, but also just corners. We like corners because corners allow for line of sight, right? So if we're trying to bait enemies around corners or set up some sort of sting attack with our team, having more corners is much harder to maneuver than a big open room. And that's one thing we see with a ton of bases that we raid. It's just like big open room next to big open room next to big open room. And it's just a terrible strategy.
Yeah, because you can't hide. There's no way to, like, if you got 5 people in your base and you're as 2, you need ways to break line of sight, break cover. Maybe you could slip off for a second and heal. If you don't have anything like that, you're just good as dead. You might as well just die.
Right. And at that point, if you're just talking about big open rooms, it's pretty much a coliseum. And then it's your skill versus their skill. And the environment is not helping you in any way, shape, or form. And knowing your base location, you should have a home field advantage. But if it's just a big open room, then you're on equal footing. And that's not the point of your base design. It should be advantageous to you and your team.
Correct.
So this is really kind of the end of the defenses to a degree. If they get past all of that, which is very unlikely, really it's kind of the rest of the base. There is a little room over here with some mutated rats, and there's some banshees in there, or there were some banshees in there. Uh-oh, I let them out. So if they, open the wrong door, they are going to end up getting distracted by these for a second. That could open us up for another attack. So little things like that you'll see throughout the rest of the base, but really we're talking about production now and some of the other nuances of the base. So off to the left here is research. Obviously, once you're done with your research, you don't need these anymore, so they're just kind of shoved in a corner. All right, so moving into the main portion of the base here, this is really where the magic happens. We're going to start in this main room here. As I said, there are teleporters in the game now, not just the main teleporter, but the 3 base or castle teleporters. And we use these really strategically to allow us to move to different parts of our base more efficiently. Teleporters should be used for efficiency so that you can move through your base faster. Because remember, once PvP happens, these become deactivated. So you're really thinking about them from more of a PvE and efficiency point of view. So off to the side here, go ahead, Liv.
Yeah, you don't really our red teleporter is a very essential one for us to get down to the front gate, but you'll see later on we have ways to make sure we can get to the front gate very easily. So everything in your base should be designed without the teleporters being crucial factors because they go down. And even more so once your base gets either keyed where it gets its defenses lowered, the enemies can then use your teleporters to move about your base. So you want them in ways that are not going to be, detrimental to the success of your structure.
Right. All right. So talking production now, off to the side, we have an alchemy room. Really important to have this accessible in a great, location in your base. And you'll notice we have a lot of storage in here. There are a ton of herbs in the game, especially with all of the additions in Gloomrot. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough storage in here to really house all of our herbs that we're collecting. We also have a location for fish. We kind of split our fish up between here and the prisoner room, which we'll show you in a second, but plenty of storage for all the herbs that we're gathering. On the right side here, we have just a small cabinet for potions. This is non-blood related potions, more of the buff potions and the healing potions. Again, just trying to keep all things that are similar in the same place. One of the biggest, I think, annoyances of bad castle design is when you have certain parts of your room that are dedicated to alchemy, but you have the potion stored somewhere else in the castle. It doesn't make any sense. All right, so flipping over to the other side here, you see we have our vermin nest, and Livid's cooking up some vermin nests right now. This is both a PvE and a PvP kind of play here, Livid, right?
Correct. Yeah, we can do mutant rats if we want to do, when they break in, we can spawn a bunch of mutant rats, which are good distractions because they just move really quick. They're really aggressive. With PvE, you want to use these things for spiderlings. And if we want to move back here really quick, just so they can spawn. You'll see, these are very good for farming silk, or for farming the silkworms. You never really want to go to the spider cave. Oh, let's help with that and I'll kill Van.
Yeah, so a quick little farm of these spiderlings is going to net about, I think, 20 to 30, depending on how many vermin nests you have, but it's a very consistent way to get these silkworms, which it used to be the spider cave over in the forest, and now this is really the strategy for getting silkworms.
Correct.
All right, so a lot of silkworms, a lot of spiderlings, good stuff. As we move over to our kind of storage portion of the base, you'll notice our blood presses are right here. It's really no strategy here, just thought they looked good on either side of the door. Now, once we open, we have our loot hallway. And this is going to be a little controversial, I guess you could say, but we like a centralized loot system. We have a ton of storage, as you can see, 3 large cabinets in each little alcove here. Each one is connected to a door. So if we did get broken into, we could close all these doors and again, just provide a little bit protection of these rooms. But again, if they're this far into our base, we've probably done something wrong or we are outmatched. But yes, everything is broken down. You'll see we have got wood chest, stone chest, metal chest. We break everything down to be as specific as we can. Reagents, really just a chest for oil, cloth and fabric, leather. The goal here is, again, efficiency and clarity. We want to know where every single resource is in our base at a glance. 98% of it, I would say, is here, other than gems and some outliers that we'll talk about in just a second.
Right. And it's also crucial to we also group our stuff as well. So it's kind of easy to remember. Like all the cloth, leather, and the reagents that go with that go in a room, right? And then we have like the stone, wood, and metal in one kind of thing. Then all the techie kind of stuff in another, plants in another. It's very easy to memorize where things are.
Yep.
Once you get used to it.
Yep. We've got some chomp chests here, just as we're bringing stuff back from raids and whatnot. And then if we move into here, this is our first production room. So as you guys probably know, I hope you know, each of these production workstations get bonuses based on the floor and if they're in a confined room. So as you can see, all of our grinders have the plus 25% bonus because they have both the matching floor and they're in a confined room. And we have a lot of these things going. We've got all of our sawmills going. We've got all of our grinders going. And then we have some chests here for sawdust, stone dust, and ghost crystals. Those are 3 things that we'll need in this room, specifically in this room. And really, they don't belong in any other chest because they end up just stacking up to a point where you have to throw them away. So we kind of kept them away from more of the what's the word I'm looking for? The more necessary reagents.
Critical loot. Yeah.
All right, swinging over to the other side here, same exact philosophy, except this is just our tailoring side. We've got our tanneries, our looms, and of course our major tailoring bench here for all of our armor and whatnot. This is going to bring us into the prison. And Livid, I'll let you talk about the prison really quick because this is something that every player needs to know about, every player needs to build, and they should be actively looking for the highest blood NPCs out there.
Correct. So a new thing with the Gloomrot update is you'll be able to make these things called blood merlots. And if anybody's familiar with prisoners right now, when you get a prisoner, you can extract its blood into a blood potion. That way you can use that blood on demand to fill yourself up. So obviously if you get like 100% workers, 100% warriors, 100% scholars, stuff like that, you'll be able to have that 100% blood on demand. So you keep them healthy through feeding them fish to lower their misery, and then you feed them like rats and stuff to raise their health. Now with the Gloomrot update, we also got the Blood Merlot, which is a brand new potion that a lot of people don't realize that it's not just for crafting amulets, but it also reduces the amount of misery and health damage that NPCs take when they're in those prisons. So you should be making Blood Merlots all the time for these potions in order to get the most out of your prisoners without having to regenerate them or lower their misery. You get a lot more potions per tap than you do otherwise. And then also, the same thing goes with the flooring with any other station. You want the prison flooring because that also, reduces the amount of misery and health damage they take overall. So overall, I could probably do 4 to 5 taps on a prisoner before it dies. So I get it to round 4, I heal it fully back up, wipe the misery, and repeat. It's really nice. It's way better than doing just 2.
Yeah, and as you can see, we've got a lot of prisoners, 91 Scholar, 86 Scholar, 100 Brute, 100 Brute. The goal here is 100% blood because they're going to give us the best buffs possible. We've got 100 worker, 100 worker, 100 worker. So as you can see, we've got multiple copies of the same blood, and that's for a variety of reasons. 1, you can kind of spread out the misery. 2, accidents happen. You can kill a prisoner, and now you're not kind of left scrambling. So we've got a lot of prisoners here that we've accumulated over the week we've been playing Gloomrot. We're still looking for that 100 Scholar. But one thing I did want to call out, Livid, is that irradiated gruel. So that's another new item in the game. Yeah. You can feed the irradiated gruel to a prisoner, and it will increase the quality of the blood by 1 to 2%. But there is a chance, 35%, that prisoner turns into a mutant. And you can't keep mutants. Mutants will start attacking. So if they turn, you pretty much lose it. It's a good strategy to try and use this to get to 100 if you've got like a 95% or higher, just keep in mind you want a copy of that prisoner already.
Correct. And we made a little quarantine area that we tend to put the prisoners inside here when we do that. It allows us to, I'm not entirely sure if the mutant will kill. I know if you have a werewolf, the werewolf will kill other prisoners. I don't know if the mutants will. We didn't want to test it. So we generally just slap the prison into here, close it, feed it the gruel. If it's great, it comes out. If it's not, we kill it inside the room.
Exactly. And as you can see, this is one of our teleporters here, again, for convenience. So if we quickly need to get a prisoner, we just port in and port out. All right, let's head up to the top floor. And we really did this room right, I would say. This is a really special room because of the Gloomrot update. We wanted to dedicate an entire section of our base to the new spell jewel section, and Livid did just an awesome job kind of building this out. And you can see it's a little overkill, but I think it all lays out really nicely. One thing you'll notice is that each of these chests, which hold the spell jewels, has a certain color torch behind it. And that at a glance lets us know what spell jewels are in this cabinet. So yellow, Storm; blue, obviously Frost. We've got the teal for Illusion, so on and so forth. And this was something that Livid found out during our testing period with the game, and has just become a staple of our build.
Yep. It's makes it really efficient here. And as you can see, we also do the same corner process. You know, even though this is a big, large room, there's corners that you could duck behind, you know, if fights break out. There's that central area. We use the central area to store like gem dust and gems. It's another secure kind of storage place. But, you know, we can open it if we want during a fight, and it gives us a whole, you know, place to loop around and fight. It just, you know, it's good PvP wise. Everything's got PvP in mind on top of PvE.
Yep, absolutely. So if we move through the jewel room, you'll see our Eye of Twilight, and really the crown achievement here of the base is something new. It is our rooftop garden up here. And this is something that I know Livid is very proud of, not just from an aesthetic point of view, but just because of how he's worked the new trader system and the new coin rework to make this garden work for us. As you can see, there are a lot of plants up here, and this is not easy to do. And really, there's no PvP value here other than getting a ton of new loot, right? We want the most herbs possible for potions and things like that.
Yeah, like we got the cotton over here and the ghost shrooms. This is for making ghost yarn. Then we got the grapes over here for our prisoners, and then we got the briars so we can refill the banshee tomb. So this one is really important PvP wise. This lets us refill our banshees up. And then you have the mist flowers or the snow flowers for the spell potions. You have the Hell's Clarion for the attack power potions, and then you got the blood rose for the health potions. So everything's very centered on, like, these are the essential things for fighting and keeping our thing repaired and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and really, you know, one of the cool things is these grapes, which are used for that blood merlot Livid was talking about before. It's not easy to get these seeds. So the way that Livid's done that is by leveraging the new trading system, creating gold sun coins, going into Brighthaven, trading with that trader every couple of hours when they restock, and building this rooftop garden.
Yep.
So if we go back to the front of this room, there's just a couple little things I want to point out. So over here is our foundry. Exact same thing as before. We've got the right flooring, which means all of these things are getting those 25% buffs. As you can see, we've got a lot of furnaces going. We do have some chests over here because this is so far removed from some of the main loot on that first floor. Of course, our Ancestral Forge for the new legendary system, and then our Fabricator. This is how we're making the gold sun coins, and it's really a forge room, right? That's really what this is designed for, and it has provided us with the weapons and the ore and everything that we need to kind of stock our defenses.
Yep, and we wanted to make sure that it was close to the teleporter, because that way, as soon as you get in the base, you go through the red, then you hit the blue, and it's right here, right by the forge. So our general philosophy is you never want to be walking more than 2 rooms to get wherever you want within the base. That's kind of how the teleporters are set up. They're always at that cusp of 2 rooms, you know, you'll be there.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think as people are experimenting with the teleporters, they need to be really thinking of is efficiency. I don't want to go 5 rooms. I don't want to go all the way from one end of the base to the other. That was kind of why they added these into the game. So think efficiently when you're placing your teleporters down, and you'll be in good shape.
Also, speaking on top of efficiency, you'll notice that we have carpeting all over the floor. Now, this isn't just for aesthetic purposes. If you've ever read the carpeting item, you get a 15% move speed bonus whenever you're on top of carpeting. So during PvP fights, you're moving 15% faster. During base activities, you're 15% faster. It just lets you get things done quicker.
Yeah, and there's carpet on pretty much every part of the base to allow us, as we're traveling, from one room to the next, to move just a bit faster. Again, to his point, efficiency. Finally, we just have kind of our, our hidey hole room where we sleep and where we log off. But this is also a really important room because we've got our repair materials in case the base gets broken into. And then, of course, we've got our potions. So we've got our healing potions and then our combat potions. And then on the opposite wall over here, we've got all of our raid bloods. So again, the importance of Blood Merlot, having a good prisoner system allows us to have high level bloods of everything, just be able to pick it up, go back into combat, defend, attack, whatever we're doing.
Yeah, and this way, if we die, it's very crucial that the moment you die and you respawn, you want to get back into your fight as soon as possible. You don't want to be going down to your loot room, trying to find the materials to repair your weapon, trying to find the blood on the other side of the base to get stock back up. You want to respawn, go to 3 chests, get yourself repaired, and jump back into the fight. You want like a 15-second window of getting restocked before you're back in. You don't want to give them the advantage of being able to sit there and chip away at your base for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and speaking of getting back into the fight quick, the last real special secret here is just the side door. Because we have the new balcony system, we can jump right off it, jump down, and look at that. We are at the middle point between our 2 gates. We can engage behind an enemy. We can fend off an attack. Say we die for whatever reason. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. And we can get right behind the enemy team that's attacking and get right back into the fight. So there you have it, a full walkthrough of our V-Rising base. Hopefully this video has helped you think differently about your castle and gives you a few new ideas as you continue expanding your territory. Of course, there is no one perfect base, so if you have any secret build strategies you want to share with the community, feel free to let us know in the comment section below. Of course, if you do want more V-Rising content in your feeds, all you need to do is hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. With 2 additional content updates down the road, you better believe we'll be here covering all the latest news. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.